I was young, I had it all planned out, that something big was down the road. I really thought I'd have it all by now, not be a failure if I don't. That's when you say, hey, my love, we're nowhere near the end. There'll come a day, I swear you ain't seen nothing yet. So I went down to the water and found my faith, because I don't wanna be stuck in the good old days. That's when you say, hey, I swear you ain't seen nothing yet. This life is heavy with an overload, like every door I see is shut. But when we're sinking to our deepest lows.
Well, with the shipping container finally in place and locked down, it's time to turn my attention to getting it set up for our solar power. My next step is going to be to make some racks that will mount the solar panels on. They'll be going right on the side of the shipping container over here. And there's going to be 18 panels. And I'm going to make 2 rows of 9. I've got to make all the bracketry, the holders and whatnot. I could probably buy some if I wanted to. They do make some kits available. I thought they're kind of expensive or pricey, probably fair price, but I think I could do something a little different and make it work more for what I need here to do as far as getting them mounted and right where I want them. So what I've got here is, here's a prototype that I built. You can see there's 2 solar panels here. These are 425 watts each. And basically what I've got is some 2-inch channel that the panel actually bolts to right here. And I've got a couple bolts down in this area. I've taken some rebar, and you can see I've welded it to the top here. And then I strengthen it going back and forth and across the bottom. And my plan is I'm going to take some more of this 2-inch channel, and I'm going to make a couple of these brackets with a hole in it right here. And I'm going to, not this container here, but the blue one, I'll weld that right up, probably not like that. I'll probably weld that up like this with the hole on the top, to the top of the shipping container. And then look down here, I've got these J-bolts. And what I'm going to do is, I don't know if I can do this with one hand here, but basically what I'm thinking is I'll weld this bracket to the top of the shipping container, put these J-bolts through, and that will allow me to swing the panels out from the bottom to get the right angle I need. And then also I'll have a nut on the end here so I can adjust them side to side. And I'm hoping I'll be able to put 9 of these. I'm going to have to extend the brackets a little beyond each end of the container, but we'll get to that another time. For right now, what I need to do is kind of validate my idea. I've got the first prototype made, and I've got to make 8 more of these brackets for, as I said, 18 panels. But and I've got all the material, see right over here, this is all the 2-inch and the rebar, everything I'm going to need to make all that stuff. I got to cut it all up and get it all welded, obviously. They're not too difficult to make, and when you get the right tools, everything goes pretty quick, so shouldn't take me too long. But before I go through all that, what I really want to do is take this prototype and actually get it mounted on the container where it's going to go. And that'll help me kind of finalize the ideas in my head and make sure it will work before I go ahead and make all these other brackets and find out later on I missed something along the way. It does happen sometimes. So, but I think I thought it through enough in terms of how I want it to, what it basically needs to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take these panels off the brackets, and I've already got my 2 little L brackets that I just showed you. And I'm going to take those over to the blue container. We're going to get those welded on the right location. and then I'm going to go ahead and get everything mounted up. And I got one other thing I got to figure out, which is how I'm going to hold the panel away from the container. Been giving it some thought, but again, maybe seeing it hanging on the side of the container will spark some more ideas. Let's get started. Thanks for joining me. It should be fun. Looking forward to getting this power station set up. All right, well, I've determined a 40-foot container. I'm going to set the first rack up right in the middle and build out from there. That way I have my spacing equal. We got some stuff we picked up at the auction last fall, local auction they have in the area. Some staging, some planking. I've also got a bucket kind of lift for the tractor, the forks, which is sitting over here. And I can break that out if I need to, but I'm looking at this here thinking this might work. I got to be able to get my welder and the generator. Obviously I got to get the welder close enough to be able to weld, and generator to run the welder. So I've got my 20-foot spot figured out. I'll set the staging up somewhere right in the middle, and then I'll go about figuring out how to my spacing for the first rack, which shouldn't be too hard. Just cut it down the middle, half and half, weld my 2 brackets in place, and we'll hang that one up. At least that's the plan. This is going to work out really nice. I'll be able to get my welder up here or in the in my other bucket. But this is pretty sturdy, heavy duty. Oh, all right. Whew, day 2. We got a warm one here today. Not too much of a breeze. Mid-80s or so, and it's taken me most of the day to get this kind of sorted out and figured out. Yesterday, everything before this part of the video was from yesterday. I was just trying to get some ideas on how I can do this and be most efficient with my time. I've got a lot of brackets to weld along the top of this, little brackets that'll hold our frames for the solar panels. And so this way here, you can move the tractor along, and I can just move the scaffolding. We found this scaffolding, as I think I mentioned earlier in the video, at auction last year. It's coming in real handy for this project, which is kind of what I was figuring on using it for. We just picked up this this rack here recently, primarily again for this part of the project. Inside the cart here, we've got a Harbor Freight Predator 5000 running on propane with the Harbor Freight Titanium 140. I'm new to this MIG welding, but I'm really enjoying it, and I made the first prototype solar panel bracket with it, and that was my first welding experience with it. I think it went pretty well. Time will tell. But now I got to start welding some, as I mentioned, some little hangers to hang the big brackets on. So I'll grab the camera. I've got some umbrellas set up here, and I'll show you what we got going on up here a little bit closer. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. All right, I'll come up to my new work platform here. I've got a little safety bar up here. It's not much, but it gives me I actually found some 3/4 inch pipe to stick into the top of the staging here, and gives me a little something just to remind me I'm up high enough that I could step off and hurt myself. Don't need to be doing that. Anyway, this is the top of the shipping container here, and here's my brackets. I was saying that as far as the MIG welder goes, the MIG welder, you can see there's a clamp right here. That clamp is supposed to clamp onto your work material, and unfortunately there's not real good surface to clamp to with that thing on. And they say in the instructions, I'm new to MIG welding as far as the wire feed goes, but you got to have your ground within a foot or two or a couple feet of the wherever you're going to be welding for it to work properly. And so before I knew anything about, they already make a magnet that's made to go on the end of your cable, your ground cable here, and You can see I've already cleaned off a little bit of the paint. This is just a 3-pound magnet I bought from Harbor Freight. I've had it kicking around, and I came up with the idea and then discovered they already made something. So I got one in my shopping cart. Might work a little bit better than this, but this should be fine. I've already checked it and made sure I've got a really good connection. I've cleaned the metal right down to metal, and we'll go ahead and repaint this. This is all going to be underneath the roof anyway, so I'm not too concerned with it. We'll protect it later on. I've already taken my measurements for the width of my bracket to hold the panels. You can see the bracket right down here, not the aluminum thing, but this is 35.5 inches. So I've already made, yesterday I made all my, took all my measurements. I figured out exactly where I need to weld this little bracket here. And in this little bracket we'll have the J-bolt that I explained to you earlier in the video. That will hang down, and I'll be able to hook the end of this rebar on the J-hooks, and that'll allow me to pivot it out. I still got to come up with an idea on how I'm going to hold it out once I get it pivoted out, but we'll get to that later. That's the whole idea of this exercise, is to try it out and make sure it works before I go do any more. So all I'm going to do for now, I'm just going to try and tack it. I'll clean all my paint off and get it ready to weld, but I don't want to weld it completely on until I'm going to tack it along the top, and then just enough so that I can verify once I get my J-hooks in here and hang the bracket. I'll know if it works. That way, if I got to change something or whatever, then I don't have to cut the whole thing back off again. So we'll get started with the removing the paint and some of this rust, clean up my surfaces, and we'll fire up the welder. I got my fly racket because the flies, sometimes they bite up here. Trying to focus on welding and you're getting bit in the leg is no fun. All right, well, I hope I got that on video. I got another camera going here, but I'm not sure what got what. Kind of a tight spot up here. At any rate, I did get it tacked on there. Not too bad. Nice and solid. So there's one. I'll go ahead and move everything over to this one, and we'll be able to give it a try. All right, let's get this panel hung up, see what it looks like. Okay, well, there's number one. Seems to work out fine. Couple notes. I'll probably put a nut underneath the J bolt. I only got one on the top. Not sure another one underneath is necessary, but other than that, once I get my solar panels bolted to this, the only other thing I got to figure out is how I'm going to be able to keep this with some kind of a brace back here to the container somehow, which shouldn't be too hard to figure out. It'd be nice to have it adjustable. It'd be nice to have it adjustable to some extent, maybe although it doesn't need to be. The system's designed to sit with the panels in one position and stay there all year round. Certainly if we can make it adjustable for the winter time where the sun is lower in the sky, it would be a little more beneficial probably. But that's something we can play with further down the road. For now, I think what I'll try and do is, so now that I know this is going to work, I'll get back up. I'll put my staging back and get back up there and finish welding those brackets up all the way around. And from there, I got to take some measurements just to make sure that I end up evenly on both ends, because I have to extend beyond the 40-foot. I have to make an extended bracket to go out. I don't have enough room to fit 9 of these with the panels on because of the width of the panel. I don't know if that makes sense, but it will once we get done. That's quite an achievement for me personally. It's nice to get started on this project. I've been looking forward to this for almost 2 years now since we purchased this project. So this power station. Feeling pretty tired, kind of warm. Been at it all day, so I'm going to sit back, get something cold to drink for a minute, think about this. Pretty happy with the way this came out. This means I can move forward with making the other 9 or 8, I should say. And after that, we can go about getting the panels mounted. That'll be step 1. Next step will be to get inside the container after that, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Glad I got that completed, and looks like it's going to work out. So thanks for joining me. We'll get busy making some more of these in the next video. See you next time. Bye.
I'll keep praying to heaven and fighting like hell.